So, well, going forward, let's go into the what's in the show notes.
Yeah, let's see if we can't cheer ourselves up a little bit with a little Taco Tuesday, aka Trump always chickens out.
And I collected as many memes as I could find, so hopefully you guys will like what you see. All the memes were handpicked from Facebook. A lot of these really make me giggle, so I that's why, yeah.
Yeah, typically we would not want to be sharing Trump's face anywhere, but in this instance we'll make an exception, and we hope it gives you a laugh.
It's yeah. And what's even funnier, dude, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but somebody found or remembered and then went looking for it. Apparently the last time he hosted SNL, he did a bit with the cast where he opens a taco restaurant. Or no, excuse me, not a taco restaurant, a chicken restaurant.
Chicken restaurant, yes. So I saw this clip, and I honestly wasn't sure if it was AI or not. Like, that's the unfortunate side effect of the world we're living in now, is like you see an old clip where he's just standing on stage doing a bok thing, and you're like, is that real, or is it edited? Is it AI?
It's definitely not AI. I don't know if I ever watched that episode of SNL, but you can definitely tell it's not AI because the people in it look much younger, including himself. So it's I think it's from like early 2000s, like before 2010. So
yeah, that's what it looked like. That's definitely what it looked like.
But
so to give everybody a little background here, what's going on? Coming from Newsweek, memes mocking President Donald Trump, dubbing him Taco Trump, have exploded across the internet. The term, which means Trump always chickens out, has come into the lexicon as the president has come under fire for the handling of his tariff policies.
Oh, man.
On Wednesday, CNBC's Megan Casella asked Trump about the taco trade, which has been circulating on Wall Street and was coined by Financial Times columnist Robert Armstrong. Casella asked the president, "They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?" The president fired back at Casella, accusing her of asking a nasty question. He likes that word when it comes to women. He thinks that's like the best insult he can give a woman is nasty.
Yeah.
And he demanded that she never ask it again. "Don't ever say what you said," Trump told Casella. "That's a nasty question. To me, that's the nastiest question."
Oh, man. I watched that clip multiple times yesterday and just cackled. I was so tickled by that. It was so funny.
He's so obvious when something actually hurts him. It's so I would love to play poker with Trump. I could get all his money. The term has quickly caught on with Taco Trump memes being posted across the internet. Like we mentioned, you can see several of these if you're watching the YouTube or TikTok live stream. On X, formerly Twitter, Lucas Sanders, which is an account with 33,000 followers and identifies with the Democratic Party, posted, "Hey, everyone, let's get hashtag Taco Trump trending," accompanied by a picture of a taco with the president's face superimposed on it. The post has been viewed more than 270,000 times as of this reporting.
That's too funny.
The account Canada Hates Trump, which how could they not, which has more than 160,000 followers on formerly Twitter, shared a similar meme on the platform. It included a picture with the president that has been edited so that part of his head looks like a chicken, captioned "Trump always chickens out, hashtag taco." It has been viewed more than 400,000 times as of reporting. Similar images have flooded Instagram and TikTok, with some accounts being set up under variations of the name Taco Trump. On TikTok, a video posted by the account Binary Infections shows multiple AI-generated versions of the president who has been edited to look like a chicken eating a taco, running through the New York Stock Exchange. The video has been viewed 160,000 times as of this reporting. And then lastly here, the account @CrockerBoy on X, in a post viewed 55,800 times. Zero trade deals, lots of talk, lots of promises, lots of bragging, zero trade deals. And why? Because Trump always chickens out.
That's too funny.
So Moving along to CNN here to give you a little bit more background of how this developed. But did you have any comment on that first part, Todd?
I wanted to say one of my favorites though is it has is a I don't know if it's AI or someone actually photoshopped him into it, but it was basically a photo of Belle, like from Beauty and the Beast, and the big yellow flowing dress, but it's made to look like a bunch of tacos, and then they put his face instead of Belle's, but it says Taco Bell, Belle.
My wife would love that one. Belle is her favorite Disney character.
Oh man, it's too funny.
So some more background on this, how this all came about from CNN. The acronym was coined in early May by a Financial Times columnist and is now used as shorthand by some on Wall Street to indicate that traders shouldn't fret too much about Trump's tariff threats, since he usually backs down. Trump's real-time response also demonstrated his view that the shorthand diminished what he sees as an essential negotiating tactic on trade. He explained on Wednesday that sometimes he sets a ridiculously high number for tariff rates and then relents if other nations give in to his demands. However, nations aren't giving in to his demands. Trump is just saying they are. In just the last week, he threatened 50% tariffs on the European Union, then extended the deadline in return for more talks. Just for more talks. And has threatened to re-escalate his China trade war in an effort to secure compliance with last month's agreement. So not a new agreement, it's something that China already agreed to. Last month, he also imposed a 145% tariff on Chinese goods before bringing that back down to 30% for the month. And or he did so this month. And he got nothing for that. He basically, once the bond market got threatened, he said, let's cut it back. Well, we'll step away. He chickened out. It originated on a May 2nd column from Robert Armstrong, a Financial Times commentator and author of the publication's popular finance newsletter, Unhedged. Armstrong coined the phrase as a way of capturing Trump's frequent willingness to walk back, pause, or provide carve-outs from his most expansive tariff threats. The idea, in short, is that Trump's threats had created a pattern of driving stocks down, only to see them surge when he changed course weeks later. So the net effect is to create a taco shell-like shape in the market graph. A steep decrease when tariffs are announced, a flat bottom as the market finds its new level, and then an equally sharp climb once the tariffs are walked back. So you get a nice taco valley shape in the graph. So Armstrong used the term to try and explain the steady upward trajectory taking place in late April, which he wrote had, quote, a lot to do with markets realizing that the U.S. administration does not have a very high tolerance for market and economic pressure and will be quick to back off when tariffs cause pain. This is the taco theory. Trump always chickens out. Within a few weeks, the taco trade had become a fixture of Wall Street chatter and started appearing in client notes from financial analysts and economists. Armstrong, and likely everyone else in the financial industry, is hoping that the taco talk doesn't result in Trump sticking to his tariffs next time, as they all believe that it's a good thing when bad policy chickens out. So that's the one thing to remember here is we do want Trump to chicken out because everything he does is awful, so it's best when he backs off his own ideas.
Right.
So what's really been happening to the markets here? We go to the Guardian for this. The S&P 500, the U.S. stock market benchmark, has actually gained about a net 1% during 2025, despite a deep slump in April after the Liberation Day tariffs had basically the worst market since 1990. The stock market rise appears to have been aided by the taco trade narrative that market turmoil will correct the president's course and allow companies to keep on making strong profits. That belief will strengthen if courts uphold Wednesday night's ruling by New York's Court of International Trade. And that ruling was that Trump's tariffs have been imposed illegally, which we've been trying to say here on the show all along. So more detail on that. A U.S. trade court ruled Donald Trump's tariff regime was illegal in a dramatic twist that could block the president's controversial global trade policy. On Thursday, an appeals court agreed to a temporary pause of that decision, pending an appeal hearing. So the Trump administration is expected to take the case to the Supreme Court. So once again, we're going to test the Supreme Court to see if they're more loyal to Trump or more loyal to the Constitution. So far, it's proven that Alito and Thomas, Justice Alito, Justice Thomas, are indeed more loyal to Trump or to whoever their benefactors are that want them to be loyal to Trump. Obviously, we know Clarence Thomas has been bought by his rich investors that take him on fantastic trips and take care of his kid, his grandson, and do all these different things for him. And
of course,
Thomas through most of his career never asked a question. Now that they have a 6-3 majority, he's finally chiming in and letting his far right extremist positions come through in questions he asks. But the other 7 justices on the court have taken turns being against Trump. A lot of things he is losing on, or they'll recuse themselves so that it can only be tied. So we'll see where my guess is the Supreme Court will side with the Constitution on this one and say that Trump needs congressional authority for much, if not all, of these tariffs. But we'll see. But either way, the pattern is clear of that Trump takes a harsh initial position followed by a sizable retreat. The partial climb downs have often followed close behind slumping bond prices. This is what we've been saying. So that increases the U.S. government's borrowing costs and eventually could, if left unattended, could expose the world's largest economy, that is the U.S., if left unchecked. So just like we said, when the bond market gets threatened, that's when Trump backs down. Yeah. And then lastly here from The Guardian, the Liberation Day tariff announcement was followed by a 90-day pause. Trump said he would raise EU tariffs to 50% before delaying that until 9 July. He ratcheted up levies to a punitive 145% on China before dropping them to 30% during a 90-day pause. And he toyed with forcing out the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, only to backtrack quickly once investor displeasure became clear. Again, that is just the litany of instances where Trump has chickened out. And then CNBC also recognized this, noting Ed Yardeni, president of Yardeni Research, told CNBC, Trump's style in negotiating deals is he huffs and he puffs, but he doesn't blow the house down. And Ford Asset Management's Brian Archisi says it's very difficult to build conviction-based positions when the policy direction keeps shifting. And again, that's one of the worst effects of what Trump is doing. Is he's just making markets and then all businesses really want is consistency. Make the rules whatever you want, but then stick to them so they can plan for the future. What Trump's doing is making it virtually impossible to plan for the future. So that's part of why this taco talk has caught on so well on Wall Street, because it's giving investors a framework to say, okay, we're just going to pretend like he's going to back down. We're just going to act accordingly like he's going to back down. The LA Times provides a good example. The market's response over the last few trading days to Trump's threat to levy a 50% tariff on imports from the EU, those were to begin on June 1st. Trump issued the threat on Friday, May 23rd. That day, the Standard & Poor's 500 index fell more than 39 points, or 0.67%, and the NASDAQ fell 188.53 points, or a full percent. 2 days later, just 2 days later, on Sunday, Trump announced that he would defer the tariff increase until July 9. On Tuesday, the first trading day following the Memorial Day holiday, stocks jumped back up. The S&P rose 118.72 points, or 2.05%, and the NASDAQ rose nearly 462 points, or 2.47%. So you see how the taco trade works? It's a two-step process. Buy the dip, the lowered prices following a Trump tariff announcement, and sell at the higher prices after Trump's inevitable chickening out pushes stocks back up. And also, if you're in there, and if you're an insider enough, you also know when the dip's going to happen, so you can sell before the tariffs are announced, then buy the dip, and then make your profits and sell again, or just keep holding. It's created this absolute field day for insider trading. Now, we don't have any evidence exactly of who may or may not be doing that, but I mean, could you really put it past these guys?
Yeah.
You also notice that the fall and rise weren't symmetrical. The strength of the recovery was greater than that of the decline. This can't be easily explained, except that it may suggest that hope is a stronger emotion than despair. And then likewise with the Liberation Day tariffs, the stock market crashed upon Trump's announcement, with the S&P falling nearly 5% the next day and the NASDAQ down nearly 6%. It was the worst day on the market since a pandemic-triggered fall in March of 2020. On April 9, Trump did back off, announcing a 90-day pause. We've mentioned that multiple times at this point. And then that triggered a taco relief rally. The S&P gained 9.5 points, which is the third biggest one-day percentage gain since World War II. The NASDAQ went up 12.16, its second biggest one-day percentage gain ever. Neither gain brought those indexes back to where they had been on April 2nd. However, it's also true that the downdraft and updrafts have inspired suspicions that White House insiders with advance word of the announcements are trading stocks on the knowledge. So just like we were saying, this is a big concern that this is part of this is all just a get rich quick scheme by manipulating the stock market. But here's the thing though, if you held on the whole time, you've experienced a net gain. If you had insider knowledge, you were able to really get a gain by gaming the system. But there are people who can be left out of this. So say you panic sold after the big market dip. And so you sold your assets at a lower value than what they'd been the week before. Then the big gain comes back and you're a day late on that. Now you've bought back in at the higher mark. So people who weren't in the know, people that are, especially retail investors like you or I could be, they're getting absolutely screwed by this, because you sell off when you see the disaster happening, but you needed to sell before it happened to take advantage of it, and then you're not buying back in until it comes back up. So you lost that entire rebound. So LA Times explains this. Investors who stayed fully invested in the S&P through the turmoil emerged with a gain of 0.7 on the year. Those who panic sold, missing out on the recovery, ended with a year-to-date loss of 8.1%. So we're talking a nearly 9% difference in your portfolio if you were in the know or just held, versus if you tried to sell and buy with the markets, if you tried to read the market and react. And so this is also supposed to encourage investors to just rely on taco. Rely that Trump is going to chicken out and don't ever panic sell.
Yeah.
And lastly, from Yahoo's finance department, they quote Callie Cox, who's the chief market strategist at Ritholtz Wealth Management, urged investors to look beyond the tariff drama. We're going to get a lot of he loves me not, she said, referencing the back and forth on policy gains. What investors really need to be focused on is economic data, especially the jobs report coming up next week and what the Fed is doing in response to all this. Cox noted the Federal Reserve has limited ability to intervene if the economy weakens, adding, markets haven't quite processed the fact that the Fed can't step in and help us if the economy does end up weakening. So while investors are being encouraged to hold the line with this taco talk, there is the looming threat here that the on-again, off-again nature of the tariffs, the wild swings in the market, they could be affecting hiring rates. They could be affecting what people are willing to commit to hiring new people. If the jobs report is down because of all this, and the fundamentals of the economy are therefore weakened, and market movers are going to start responding to those fundamentals above any other tariff talk. And if the fundamentals do weaken and the market starts dropping because of it, if the economy itself weakens, let alone the market, but if the fundamentals of the economy weaken, The Fed can't just loosen up market rates or loosen up the investment rates, because that's how the Fed controls things, is by tightening or loosening rates. Basically, the better an economy does, they will make rates higher to kind of slow things down a little bit so that we aren't overgassing ourselves. And when the economy gets worse, they'll lower rates to try and help encourage loans and that kind of stuff to happen. But if the fundamentals are weakened because of all this uncertainty in the market, the Fed only can do so much. And so that is where disaster could truly strike. And people just holding the line, expecting Trump to chicken out, at that point, it might not matter if he chickens out. Yeah. Again, this is another example of Trump playing with economic fire, where he'll be fine no matter what happens, but my job could be on the line if things got too bad.
Oh, man.
So that's our Taco Tuesday. Todd, do you want any other comments on this?
No, I mean, I think you covered all of it as far as, all the important stuff. I mean, I just think all the memes are funny myself, so.
And we hope everybody finds the memes funny. And now we will take you to news of the week.